shirt. I'm a Tennessee hustler, and I don't have to work.
Hello, and welcome to the Deadology Podcast. From a pop-up studio, Beale Street, Memphis, Tennessee, I'm your host, Howard Weiner. Today is April 1st, 2024, and this is Season 2, Episode 14 of the podcast. Today we're going to take a look at one of my favorite shows of all time, the Philadelphia Spectrum, April 6th, 1982. The only time the Grateful Dead played Shakedown Street, Terrapin Station, Morning Dew, and Sugar Magnolia in the same show. They all came in the second set, so it's certainly historic from that perspective. And also, it's infamously known as the Blizzard Show. The night before, or I guess it would be the morning of April 6th, a huge blizzard ravaged the Northeast, just north of Philly, preventing a lot of Deadheads from making it to the show, and it became known as the Blizzard Show, Snowstorm Show, but definitely a worthwhile show to look at. And the reason I'm doing it down here in Memphis, Tennessee, is twofold. I usually like to get to a show around the anniversary date. April 6th is coming up, so I want to get a podcast of this show for the anniversary. And also, this is the shows to Philly they played on the 5th and 6th were the first road trips of my life, my third and fourth Grateful Dead shows. And this particular show, this particular day, changed me to the core as a person. It was probably the most influential day of my life. You know, people that say the day that changed my life, it's kind of cliche, but if I really do got to point to one day that changed my attitude to life and why I'm in Memphis right now, you know, is that show on April 6th. But before we get into that, I just want to talk a little bit about my current vacation in Nashville. I started in Nashville, 3 days there and 3 days in Memphis. So Nashville was pretty amazing. It was my first time. Very excited to be in Nashville. The first thing I did, I went right to, I believe the address was 34 Music Row West, where the Bob Dylan Columbia A studio is. In that studio, Bob Dylan recorded Blonde on Blonde, John Wesley Harding, and Nashville Skyline. Incredible that they got him down to Nashville. Producer Bob Johnson definitely helped get Dylan down there with these great players like Charlie McCoy. And it's just amazing to go into that room where that music was created for me as a big Dylan aficionado. And it basically changed Nashville. Up to that point, it was the country capital of the world, undoubtedly. But after Dylan went down there, recorded, all these studios popped up, all kinds of musicians went down there from all fields, and Nashville became Music City. It became huge, more than the country capital. It became the Music City, and it really kind of headed in that direction after Dylan recorded Blonde on Blonde there. So that was my first stop. So much to see in Nashville. It's crazy. You got the best things I saw, Johnny Cash Museum, incredible museum. And maybe one that was even better, it came as a surprise. Somebody suggested I go there, was the Musicians Hall of Fame, which was in the downstairs, the first floor of the Nashville Municipal Auditorium, which has a Grateful Dead history. The Grateful Dead played there April 22nd, 1978. And also saw the Ryman Auditorium. One interesting thing about the Grateful Dead in Tennessee, during the years I was seeing them heavily, 81 to 90, they never played Tennessee. It's so unusual to me, this fact, because they sing about Tennessee in so many different, obviously Tennessee Jet, but so many songs bring up, Memphis and, Candyman and all that. And even with the Garcia Band, there's so much focus. So many of the songs go into Tennessee, but the Grateful Dead themselves Never went. There was like a huge break from that 78 show until they played the Pyramid in 95. Not one stop off in Tennessee, which I think is just a strange anomaly that happened. So yeah, Nashville was very cool. One thing is that little row of honky-tonk bars, they start playing music at 11 o'clock in the morning. As much as I love music, I don't want to hear music bashing, but it's like such a tourist attraction. It's what they do. They got country bands starting at 11 in the morning, at all these places. But there's so much to do. I got to get back to Nashville. I barely had time to do everything I wanted to. I think I mentioned that I was in the Ryman Auditorium where the Grand Ole Opry started, and Bluegrass was born. Just all the incredible performers that were there. Amazing history. Went to Memphis. My first thought of Memphis, it was a little disappointing. The city deteriorated quite a lot from the last time I was there 18 years ago. It's seen better days, but it's still an essential city to visit if you love music. Amongst the stops I went here was Stax Museum, Soulsville, USA. That's a great museum. Sun Records, where rock and roll was born. Elvis, That's All Right Mama, Johnny Cash, Roy Orbison, etc. And of course, Graceland, the home of Elvis Presley. By the time I hit Graceland, I was done, man. I hit my capacity for going to museums. I'm not going to another museum for a year. But these were so interesting. I spent a lot of time in them. But I definitely OD'd on the museum thing. But very, very cool. Such great history in there. And then saw Bob Dylan on Friday and Saturday night at the Orpheum Theater, the most amazing theater. Probably it's kind of like a smaller version of the Beacon Theater. You go in there, you take your seat, and you just look up and you say, how the hell did they ever build this? It's incredible. So Dylan, and the sound in there, perfect. So Dylan really rocked out. He played the same show both nights. A little different feel to both nights, but voice strong, harp strong. His piano playing's terrific. He did the Rough and Rowdy Ways album and tossed in a couple extra songs. A great version of Big River, which really hit the spot, being down in Memphis, Tennessee. Definitely the guy's going strong. Was he 82? He's going to be 83 May 24th. And then Memphis, Beale Street, definitely, but I don't even know how to describe how it's changed. Well, for one thing, there was barricades and police doing body searches to get onto Beale Street at night, which kind of kills the buzz if you want to go catch music on Beale Street. It's definitely not what it used to be, and everything's loud cars, loud music playing from cars burning rubber. It's kind of loud and angry out there, but man, I'm so glad I came down. I had a great time. I managed to work around those little things. And after Dylan on Saturday night, Steely Dead, and what a great show it was. They played at a place called Growlers. They played for like 3 hours. The marriage of the music of the Grateful Dead and Steely Dan is pure genius. I never would have thought of putting those two bands together and how good they would sound together. But if you go see these guys, and I 1,000% recommend it, it just works so naturally. Like they opened up with Ricky Don't Lose That Number into Cold Rain and Snow. I didn't write down a set list, nor did I look at one, but just going off the top of my head, the Steely Dan song Green Earrings. There was a birther in there, Steely Dan, King of the World. Obviously Stuck Inside a Mobile with the Memphis Blues again. Get a little Dylan there to hit the spot being in Memphis. That was an excellent version, man. Very good, much like the Grateful Dead version. My Old School, it's a Steely Dan favorite there. Feel Like a Stranger, Dirty Work. And the show ended with FM into Music Never Stopped. Great combination, two showcase songs for the Dead and Dan. Just that the music flowed so perfectly. It was, it didn't feel like it was going from one band to the other. And I think I'm going to get Dave Hebert, the lead guitarist, who also played with Melvin Seals on the show in a future episode. But definitely, if you get a chance, Go check out Steely Dead. All right, now we're going back to the featured show, April 6th, 1982, the Philadelphia Spectrum. So I seen the Dead, the show the day before, April 5th. Went down with my friends Seymour and Scott Zalatlo in a little white Honda Civic. We drove down, saw the show. It was the Dead were playing good, but it was an undesirable song selection. So we weren't at all disappointed because the show was good. But we knew, and we've been talking about this on the ride back, we knew that next night was going to be killer. It was set up for all the big tunes to be played. So we drive back. We're not obviously not listening to radio or getting weather forecasts, or it hadn't started snowing on the way back. We had zero idea. It was April 5th. We had zero idea that it was going to snow. We heard nothing. We're not listening to news reports on the way down. I don't know if this snowstorm blizzard came as a surprise, but not even a thought that it was going to snow. So I wake up. Imagine my surprise waking up April 6th, and it felt cold outside. You can almost feel the snow. My drapes were drawn. I'm in my parents' house in the bedroom downstairs. And the first thing I did is I pulled open the drapes. There was a weird feeling in the air. It wasn't spring. It felt like you could almost feel the snow sitting outside the window. I opened up the window, and I had never seen snow piled so high in front of my window. Usually, when I would see that, it was a good thing because it meant I wasn't going to school as a kid in that bedroom. But that's the first time I saw snow that high piled, and I was like, oh, shit. So I think I must have woke up like 10:30 or something. Immediately called my friend Seymour. And he had already called the Spectrum, and the show wasn't canceled because it didn't snow as much in Philly. This storm barely touched Philadelphia. So now the only question was whether we were going to go, and it wasn't a question. We were that into the Grateful Dead. We were going to plow through whatever snow we had to get through to get down to Philly. And luckily, we leave, maybe 12 or something like that. It's pretty treacherous for the first 20 minutes. We're taking the Palisades to the Garden State Parkway, and then we just noticed there was no snow. So somewhere in maybe northern Jersey or thereabouts, the storm completely missed that area, and it was just smooth sailing, nice and easy down to the Spectrum. We were excited beyond belief. So we get down to the Spectrum. We're in the parking lot having a great time. The smell of weed, burnt Philadelphia pretzels, cheesesteaks in that Broad Street parking lot. And we had to buy tickets. I'm not sure if my friends had to get tickets, but I had to get a ticket. I scalped a ticket for $35. I'm walking in. The usher goes to me, goes, "Hey, this is a counterfeit ticket." And before I could cry, that's the only thing I could do is probably cry because I don't know how much. I don't think I had enough money to buy another ticket. He almost immediately looked at it and said, "You know what? Go ahead, go in." It was amazing. I didn't even really have a chance to get all freaked out about it because the guy was that nice. He let me ride in. So it was the first little miracle of the night. I got in with a counterfeit ticket, and the next sign that this was going to be a blessed show came with the first song, which we'll check out right now.
Trouble all my life. Run me out in the cold rain and snow. Rain and snow. Run me out in the cold rain and snow.
Great opener, Jerry and the band thanking the loyal die-hard Deadheads who traveled through treacherous weather conditions to be there. And really, a lot of people did miss the show. I know my friend Doug was in Albany, and there was no way that day you were making a trip from Albany to Philadelphia. So yeah, a lot of people definitely missed, north of where I lived, missed that show. But yep, Jared and the band thanking those who made it through the weather conditions, and on with the show. By the way, have you ever heard anybody say, "Yeah, I wish they didn't open up with Cold Rain"? It has to be like the most beloved opener, or up there with them. Cold Rain and Snow always hits the spot, and especially on this night. We got Promised Land in the second spot. Definitely. Given a choice between Promised Land and Greatest Story, by this time, Promised Land is the better song. Where if you look back to 1972, it was a joke. Greatest Story was like a monster song with a long, powerful jam. And Promised Land had very little instrumental to it. Amazing how in 10 years those songs completely reversed roles. And this is a hot Promised Land. You got The Man of Candy in the third spot. And just to let you know, I'm going to skip critiquing this first set because at best it's an average set. They played the cool thing when I was there at the show, and I was my friend Seymour and Scott was with them. We were about 20 rows away, so we had a pretty good view of everything, having a great time. I was going nuts. You would think this was the best show ever. I'm howling, and this was my fourth Grateful Dead show, so I was like very exuberant and vocal about when I was at the shows. But yeah, we were the Dead were in the moment. The crowd was in the moment. A 12-song first set. I think like a Deal or a Let It Grow or something like that really would have helped this set, give it a little more substance. Good set, but definitely nothing. When on playback, it's not like anything I'd recommend as a great set. But it set the stage. There was a sense in the crowd that night of because of what we went through to get there and everything, that they were in the thick of a great show, and it would prove to be true in the second set. I thought this set, going off the top of my head, you got this Looks Like Rain, Might As Well, Jackaroo, Big Railroad, but nothing. The playing wasn't extraordinary, but it all came together in the second set, which the second set's a complete opposite. Everything is over the top hot. So they come out, open up with Shakedown. Just a huge fill blast ignites the Shakedown, and they're off and running. The singing is excellent. Garcia's between verse solo just beautiful. Like at this point, they're on fire, man. Everything's working out perfect. They get to the big instrumental, and one of the cool things that they did a few times in this particular time period. They did this on the New Year's Eve Shakedown. Jerry and Brent would trade licks. Garcia would play something, a little call and response blues. Brent would respond. They go back and forth, and then the band would just take off. And I'm going to play the Shakedown instrumental here. What Phil's doing is amazing in there. Of course, Jerry's riding the runaway freight train. This is one of the better versions of Shakedown. Enjoy.
You just gotta poke around.
Relentless ripping and shredding from Jerry there. Shakedown to open the second set. While I'm on the Shakedown topic, let me recommend a few other great versions for you. You got the New Year's Eve 81 version, which is a little bit like this. I'd say it might even be, believe it or not, a touch better. We got the New Year's Eve 84 awesome version. That one's on the So Many Roads box set. Merriweather 85 is killer. That's highly regarded by a lot of people. That's June 30th, 85 and June 30th, 84. Indianapolis, great Shakedown. Let me point out two more. We got the Oakland Auditorium on February 17th, 79. Donna and Keith's last show. And I also have a high regard for the second performance at Shakedown Street in Egypt. I believe the date it's 9/15 or 9/16. I can't recall right now, but it's an early version, still in progress. They don't have all the verses of the song down, but wow, they go off on a crazy jam on that one. Probably it's my favorite performance from that little run that they did in the pyramids in Egypt. And that Shakedown for you, a little history of hot shakedowns. So rolling along, set 2 in Philly, Sailor comes on the heels of that Shakedown. And Sailor has such a soothing, serene effect, man. It's such a great song, especially when it comes after a hot Jerry song in the second set. It's like the perfect placement for it. Like you hear a great Scarlet Fire, and then they break into Sailor, and just there's something about the mood, the vibe of that song. It's just so cool coming after a really hot version. So this is Sailor Saint here, one of the hottest Saint of Circumstance jams you'll ever hear. But just the continuity of this show. There's not an off song, or there's not a song you wouldn't want to hear. They're into this perfect flow. This is where the Grateful Dead magic really resides when they get on a roll like this. And sometimes in a lot of great shows you'll have not an off song, but a song which almost falls out of place a little bit, or it's not a great version. Everything here, from the singing to the playing to the notes Garcia puts in between the Sailor and the Saint, everything is just on the money. It's such a great performance. And this was officially released as Road Trips Volume 4. Very deservedly so. Just the playing of this second set is ridiculous, totally album worthy, but yet a ton of improvisation. So the Sailor's great. They go into Saint of Circumstance, and just the momentum is building so much. And this is definitely one of the best instrumentals of Saint. So let's go back to the audio tape and check out Saint of Circumstance.
No, I never know. I'm gonna go for it.
Guess I always go.
Sure don't know what I'm going for. But I'm gonna go for it for sure. Sure don't know what I'm going for.
Maybe crazy, maybe out of line now.
But I'm gonna go for it for sure.
I'm on the road and I'm feeling fine now.
Don't know what I'm going for.
Got to go now.
But I'm gonna go for it for sure.
Bobby sings, I'm on the road and I'm feeling fine now. And that's kind of the magic of this show. Every Garcia's putting the notes in the right places. Weir's coming in with the right lines. Everything is working. The momentum is perfect, and even in all the little spots on these versions. So with the momentum building, out of the smoldering remains of Saint of Circumstance, and yes, the ending licks of the Saint of Circumstance are very hot too. They glide into Terrapin Station, and man, I'm standing on a seat like in the 20th row with my friends going nuts. Man, it's exactly the song I wanted to hear. Terrapin Station, Phillies, in love, man. It's just like everything is the city of love for the Grateful Dead, man. It was just everything is falling into place, everything you'd want to hear. And before the show, there were 4 songs that I wanted to hear. I clearly remember stating this, in the car. I was like, hey, we're due tonight. I want to get a Shakedown, a Terrapin, Morning Dew, and a Sugar Mag, and they delivered it. It was the only time in history the band delivered it, so pretty incredible. They slowed everything down for a nice Terrapin. The singing's good, playing's good, and then they go into the drum space. And at this point, we can't believe how crowd psyched is. It's like Morning Dew was a rare song in this time period. They had yet to play it in '82. I don't have my Dead bass with me on vacation. It's a big book to drag around, but I believe they played it maybe 6 times in '81, a few times in '80. I don't think they played it at all in '79, '78. They only played it once. So Morning Dew is always a very desirable song, but especially in these days, it was very rare. I had a sense. I had like a knowing that it was coming on this night. So after Space, Weir breaks out the whistle, and we're off and running with Truckin'. And once again, everything is sung very well. The Truckin' jam at the end here, as typical for the time period, is short, but it's crackling hot. Just perfect. And then they segue into the other one. Once again, it's what you want. You want a nice Truckin' other one to set up the Morning Dew. So obviously with these versions, you're not going to get like the 72 where they're really long and they're jamming out. But considering these are much shorter versions in the time period, the playing could not be any better. The other one is just it's a precise one verse tornado of another one, and it segues into the Holy Grail, Morning Dew. But this other one, I'm gonna play it for you, and then you're gonna hear the transition into Morning Dew, and the crowd in Philly just goes nuts. But this other one is pure perfection. Even though you're only getting a couple minutes of it, it's exactly what you want to hear and the perfect setup for the Holy Grail.
across an empty space. It trembled and exploded into the bus stop in its place. The bus come by knocking on, that's when it all began. There was cowboy eagle at the wheel of the bus to never ever land. Coming around y'all now. Coming around. Coming around. Coming around.
Walk me out in the morning dew, my honey. Walk me out in the morning dew today.
Only the Grateful Dead, man. Just that searing intensity of the other one giving away to the solemn spirituality of Morning Dew. And you may not hear it, well, you don't hear it on that soundboard tape, but man, the Philly Spectrum was going nuts, man. People were hugging, crying, cheering, yodeling. Man, what a great night that was in April 6, 1982. Anyone who was there probably in some way affected them and changed their lives as well. So Garcia singing, this is one of the best versions as far as Jerry's voice goes. The singing's awesome here. And as it rolls along, the between verse jam is incredible, and it's just building up to this big climax. The ending jam is good. It starts out hot, but it's not as long as a lot of versions from like 83 and 84. With a little extra, this would have ranked as one of the all-time great versions, but it's just the ending jam really didn't have the extra minute it needed to really ring home an all-time great version, like the one from Rochester, September 2nd, 1980. That's a full instrumental there. And in 82, a lot of these we go on to play Morning Dew a few more times in 82. The last jams weren't as great. I mean, I seen it in Alpine on August 7th, 82. Less than this one here, even though they're all good. But just 83, 84, they really dug into that the final instrumental. But no one was thinking like that in Philly, man. And I was losing my voice. And when they broke into Sugar Mag, forget it, man. It was like an insane celebration in the Philly Spectrum. Think if you get Not Fade Away after they played Throwing Stones by this point? No. So think if you get a Not Fade Away or a Round and Round, Johnny Be Good, or just the Sugar Mag was perfect. Grateful Dead original, complete rocker, and like every song in this second set, it's a phenomenal version. As far as 1982 goes, this is, I think, the second best Sugar Mag. There's one from the Frost Amphitheater from October 10th, which is just ridiculous hot. But this one, they're playing it so rambunctious. I mean, Phil's just blowing the place apart. Jerry really put some extra jam into the instrumental. And it was an unsmooth landing, but that's because they were playing so hot. It was out of control. Definitely an awesome Sugar Mag. And man, I'm in the Spectrum. This is like a total religion. It's just and also kind of like this feeling. I think we've all felt this at a Grateful Dead show, where you could almost impose your will onto the band and hear what you want to hear. It would never be like I couldn't ask for a more perfect experience where they were giving me everything I wanted, and this made it irresistibly attractive to go out on the road and see the Dead. So a great Sugar Mag wraps this up. Not a weak choice, not a weak performance in there. Not even everything is way above average. So that makes for one of the greatest second sets ever. Not only for this era, I believe it's one of the best sets the band has ever played. And then the encore. There's not even a let up in the encore. It's not U.S. Blues. Nothing wrong with U.S. Blues, but that was probably the most overplayed common of encores. You're not getting a throwaway like Don't Ease Me In. It's All Over Now, Baby Blue. Perfect, man. And at this point, the Dead had just kind of brought back It's All Over Now, Baby Blue. So it was still, at this point, it was rare. Baby Blue obviously would go on to be one of Jerry's favorite encores to play. But on this night, it was a desired song. It was one that wasn't played a lot. So even in the Baby Blue, the tremendous excitement. And as I was listening to this, nothing took me by surprise as I listened to that second set because I know it inside out. But when I listened to this Baby Blue, I was like, damn, it's one of the best versions I ever heard. I almost kind of I've overlooked that on past listens. It's, Jerry singing on it is awesome. So it's a perfect night. And man, we're driving home. I get in the car with Seymour and Scott. I'm in that back seat, and it was just complete euphoric joy on the ride home until my great adventure on this day was not over. Until we're driving home on the Palisades Parkway. The roads are pretty clean, and I think we kind of forgot that there was snow on the Palisades. This is the area where getting closer to where our house is, so there's tons of snow on the side. And we hit an ice patch. A Honda hit an ice patch and just went spinning. I mean, we were spinning at like 50 miles an hour. The only thing that stopped us was the snow. So luckily there was like 2 feet of snow, bigger snow banks on the side. The snow actually broke the spinning. Otherwise, we might have ended up hitting a tree alongside the Palisades. Now the only problem was we're out in a snowbank in the Palisades, and there's no such thing as cell phones. So we just had to wait for somebody to come and tow us away. Obviously, someone made a call, got us out of there. So the other thing, I did get sick this time. I remember that clearly because the day in Philly was very cold, even though it didn't snow there. It was like ended up being like 30 degrees, like left over from the whatever it was, a nor'easter that came through the area. And then I'm just wearing a flannel shirt, and now I'm standing in a freaking snowbank on this side of the road. But I was probably just yodeling and howling. Everything was so exciting, man. I wasn't even fazed by the fact that we almost lost our lives. I was like, this is the way I'm going to live my life. I'm going to, if I need to take a road trip, if there's something anywhere I want to do, Grateful Dead, even to this day, coming to Nashville, Memphis, there's just been a continuity in my life from that day forward, just to be on the road. I'm on the road and I'm feeling fine now, just, getting out there and really doing what you want to do. Nothing's ridiculous. If you want to go to Montreal to see Taylor Swift, if that's your thing, go do it, man. It's, you'll never regret going out on the road and kind of chasing your passion. And that's what this show taught me. This was total reward. It was a night of total rewards. And even when you're young, the thrill of spinning out on the Palisades and up in a snowbank, I really didn't fear anything. It was kind of almost like added adventure. And thanks to Seymour for driving down to those shows. I just got my New York State license this time. I was 17 or 18, and I would drive to my first show, Rochester, 3 days later, and sadly I would hit a deer on the way back. But it was just incredible adventures when you would go out and see the Grateful Dead, and I've kind of kept that going all my life, whether it's going to see Dylan or whoever, wherever. Nothing more thrilling in life than chasing your passion. And that wraps up this look back at the Philly Spectrum, April 6, 1982. Once again, this is Season 2, Episode 14 of the Deadology podcast. I got to get out of here, man. Check out my Beale Street hotel room. Head on back to Nashville and take a flight back to my peaceful little town of New Paltz, New York, where I'll be back next week week from Pencil Hill Studios. We're not sure exactly what I'm doing next week, but in 2 weeks, I got Doug Schmel back on the program. We're going to discuss April 4th. We're going to drop the show on this day. We're going to discuss April 14th, 1972, the Great Europe 72 tour. That night they were in Tivoli Gardens, Copenhagen, and it's going to be a doubleheader. We're also going to discuss the Glens Falls show from April 14th, 10 years later. We were both at that show, another awesome 82 show, much like this one from the Philly Spectrum. And once again, I'm your host, Howard Weiner. Check out my website, tangleupintunes.com. You could access the podcast there. And, all my books are there. Also on Amazon.com. Thanks for listening. Peace out.